Hello, welcome back to my channel, Living Lean Six Sigma, Living L6S. I can't do this. I can do this. I can do this. All right. Hello, welcome back to my channel. I'm Karina, Living Lean Six Sigma. Today I'll be reading for you Powerplant 2020 test guide from the ASA. If you have any issues with the answers from this test book, please don't take it up with me. I am not the creator of this content, but I will read it to you. Incorrect answers and all. So let's get started. Reciprocating engines. Question: which statement is true regarding bearings used in high-powered reciprocating aircraft engines? Answer: there is less rolling friction when ball bearings are used than when roller bearings are employed. Note, the smaller contact area of a ball bearing causes it to produce less rolling friction than a roller bearing. Ball bearings are used in high-powered reciprocating engines where keeping friction to a minimum is important. Ball bearings can be designed and installed in such a way that they reduce friction in axial loads as well as in radial loads. Question: a condition that can occur in radial engines but is unlikely to occur in horizontal opposed engine is? Answer: hydraulic lock. Note, radial and inverted engines have some cylinders below the crankcase, and when the engine is idle, oil will leak from the crankcase past the piston rings and fill the combustion chamber. This condition is called hydraulic lock. Question: which condition would be the least likely to be caused by failed or failing engine bearings? Answer: low oil temperature. Question: what is the principal advantage of using a propeller reduction gears? Answer: to enable the engine RPMs to be increased with an accompanying increase in power and allow the propeller to remain at a lower, more efficient RPM. Note, the horsepower produced by a reciprocating engine is determined by its RPM. The higher the RPM, the greater the power, but the efficiency of a propeller decreases as the blade tip speeds approach the speed of sound, Mach. In order to get the best of both conditions, many of the more powerful aircraft engines drive the propellers through a set of reduction gears. Reduction gears allow the engine to turn fast enough to develop the required power. At the same time, the propeller tip's speed is kept low enough that the tips do not approach the speed of sound. Question: which of the following will decrease volumetric efficiency in a reciprocating engine? Answer: improper valve timing, sharp bends in the induction system, and high carburetor air temps. Question: which of the following is a characteristic of a thrust bearing used in most radial engines? Answer: deep groove ball. Question: which bearing is least likely to be a roller or ball bearing? Answer: master rod bearing for radial engines. Question: the operating temperature valve clearance of a radial engine as compared to cold valve clearance is? Answer: greater. Note, when a radial engine is operating, the cast aluminum alloy cylinder head expands far more than the steel pushrod. Question: a 9-cylinder engine with a bore of 5.5 inches and a stroke of 6 inches will have a total piston displacement of? Answer: 1,283 cubic inches. Engines and inches. The piston displacement of a reciprocating engine is the total volume swept by the piston in one revolution of the crankshaft. Find the displacement of one cylinder by multiplying the area of the piston in square inches by the stroke, which is measured in inches. All right, so some math. I'm going to just show it to you. Question. Grinding the valves of a reciprocating engine to a feather edge is likely to result in answer. Pre-ignition and burned valves. Question. If fuel-air ratio is proper and ignition timing is correct, the combustion process should be completed. Answer. Just after top center at the beginning of the power stroke. Question. Which statement is correct regarding engine crankshaft? Answer. Movable counterweights serve to reduce the torsional vibration in an aircraft reciprocating engine. Question. On which stroke are both valves on a 4-stroke cylinder reciprocating aircraft engine open? Answer. Exhaust and intake. Question. Which type of bearings are generally used for connecting rods and camshafts? Answer. Plain. Note, master rods used in radial engines have a plain bearing in both their big end that fits around the throw of the crankshaft and the small end that fits around the wrist pin in the piston. Question. The actual power delivered to the propeller of an aircraft engine is called? Answer. Brake horsepower. Question. Cam ground pistons are installed in some aircraft engines too. Answer. Provide a better fit at operating temperatures. Question. Using the following information, determine how many degrees the crankshaft will rotate with both the intake and exhaust valves sealed. Answer. I gotta read the rest of it, don't I? Okay, so intake opens at 15 degrees, Bravo Tango Delta Charlie. Exhaust opens at 70 degrees, Bravo Bravo Delta Charlie. Intake closes at 45 degrees, Alpha Bravo Delta Charlie. And exhaust closes at 10 degrees, Alpha Tango Delta Charlie. Answer. 245 degrees. Note, the intake valve closes at 45 degrees of the crankshaft rotation after the piston passes bottom dead center, moving upward on the compression stroke. Both valves are closed at this point, and they both remain closed until the piston passes over the top center and comes down to 70% before bottom dead center on the power stroke. At this time, the exhaust valve opens. Both valves are on their seats for 45 degrees plus 180 degrees plus 20 degrees, or which equals 245 degrees. Question. Some aircraft engines manufacturers equip their product with chalked or taper ground cylinders in order to, answer, provide a straight cylinder bore at operating temperature. Question. An aircraft reciprocating engine using hydraulic valve lifters is observed to have no clearance in its valve operating mechanisms after the minimum inlet oil and cylinder head temperatures for takeoff have been reached. When can this condition be expected? Answer. During normal operation. Note, there is no clearance in the valve operating mechanism when an engine equipped with hydraulic valve lifters is operating normally and the minimum oil cylinder head temperatures for takeoff have been reached. Hydraulic valve lifters are used because they remove all of the clearance between the rocker arm and the tip of the valve stem. By keeping all of this clearance removed, the valves operate with less noise and less wear. Question. What tool is generally used to measure the crankshaft rotation in degrees? Answer. Timing disc. Question. If an engine with a stroke of 6 inches is operated at 2,000 RPMs, the piston movement within the cylinder will be, answer, at maximum velocity 90 degrees after TDC, Tango Delta Charlie. Top dead center. Okay. Question. If the intake valve is opened too early in the cycle of operation of a 4-stroke cylinder engine, it may result in, answer, backfiring into the induction system. Question. Some cylinder barrels are hardened by, answer, nitride. Note, the walls of some cylinders are treated to increase their hardness and resistance to wear. There are two methods of hardening these surfaces: hard chrome plating and nitriding. Nitriding is a process in which the surface of the steel cylinder wall is changed into a hard nitride by an infusion of nitrogen from the ammonia gas used in the nitriding heat treatment process. Question: which statement is correct regarding a four-stroke cylinder aircraft engine? Answer: the intake valve closes on the compression stroke. Question: on which part of the cylinder wall of a normally operating engine will the greatest amount of wear occur? Answer: near the top of the cylinder. Question: during overhaul, reciprocating engines exhaust valves are checked for, answer, with a contour or radius gauge. Question: when is the fuel-air mixture ignited in a conventional reciprocating engine? Answer: shortly before the piston reaches the top of the compression stroke. Question: ignition occurs at 28 degrees B Bravo Tango Delta Charlie on a certain four-stroke cycle engine, and the intake valve opens at 15 degrees Bravo Tango Delta Charlie. How many degrees of crankshaft travel after ignition does the intake valve open? Parentheses, consider one cylinder only. Answer: 373 degrees. You're going to include the crankshaft rotation, 28 degrees. On compression, power stroke is 180 degrees, and exhaust stroke is 165 degrees, totaling in 373. Question: what is the purpose of the safety circlet installed on some valve stems? Answer: to prevent valves from falling into the combustion chamber. Question: valve overlap is defined as the number of degrees of crankshaft travel. Answer: during which both valves are off their seats. Question: the valve clearance of an engine using hydraulic lifters when the lifters are completely flat or empty should not exceed, answer, a specified amount above 0. Question: if the exhaust valve of a four-stroke cylinder engine is closed and the intake valve is just closed, the piston is on the, answer, compression stroke. Question: how many of the following are factors in establishing the maximum compression ratio limitations of an aircraft engine? Answer: degrees of supercharging. Question: full floating piston pins are those which allow motions between the pins and, answer, both the piston and the small end of the connecting rod. Question: the primary purpose in setting proper valve timing and overlap is to, answer, obtain the best volumetric efficiency and low cylinder operating temperatures. Question: if the hot clearance is used to set the valve when the engine is cold, what will occur during operation of the engine? Answer: the valves will operate late and close early. Question: what is the purpose of installing 2 or more springs on each valve in an aircraft engine? Answer: to eliminate valve spring vibration or surging. Question: during overhaul, the disassembled parts of an engine are usually degreased with some form of mineral spirits solvent rather than water mixed degreasers, primarily because, answer, water mixed degreasers residue may cause engine oil contamination in the overhaul engine. Question: why does the smoothness of operation of an engine increase with greater number of cylinders? Answer: the power impulses are spaced closer together. Question: compression ratio is the ratio between, answer, cylinder volume with piston at bottom dead center and top dead center. Question: if a crankshaft runout readings on the dial indicator are plus 0.002, so it's 2/1000th inch, and minus 0.003, which is 3/1000th of an inch. The runout is, answer, 0.005 5/1000ths of an inch. Question, true or false? Number 1, is this true or false? Cast iron piston rings may be used in chrome-plated cylinders. 2, chrome-plated rings may be used in plain steel cylinders. Answer, both number 1 and number 2 are true. Question, how is proper end gap clearance on new piston rings assured during the overhaul of an engine? Answer, by placing the rings in the cylinder and measuring the end gap with a feeler gauge. Okay, question. The volume of a cylinder equals 70 cubic inches when the piston is at bottom center. When the piston is at top center of the cylinder, the volume equals 10 cubic inches. What is the compression ratio? Answer, 7:1. 7:1. A question. When cleaning aluminum and magnesium engine parts, it is inadvisable to soak them in solutions containing soap because, answer, some of the soap will become impregnated in the surface of the material and subsequently cause engine oil contamination and foaming. Question, what is the purpose of a power check on a reciprocating engine? Answer, to determine satisfactory performance. Question, what will be the likely result if the piston ring gaps happen to be aligned when performing a differential pressure compression check on a cylinder? Answer, a worn or defective rings indication. Note, the joints of the piston rings must be staggered around the circumference of the piston in which they are installed to reduce blow-by. If the gaps are not staggered, meaning if they're aligned, a differential compression check will give the indication of worn or defective rings. Question, which of the following will be caused by excessive valve clearance of a cylinder on a reciprocating aircraft engine? Answer, reduced valve overlap period. Question, the floating control thermostat used on some reciprocating engine installations help regulate oil temperature by, answer, controlling airflow through the oil cooler. Question, which of the following would indicate a general weak engine condition when operated with a fixed pitch prop or test club? Answer, lower than normal static RPM full throttle operation. Question, what is required by the 14 CFR Part 43 Appendix D, Delta, when performing an annual 100-hour inspection on a reciprocating engine aircraft? Answer, cylinder compression check. Note, a compression check, and specifically a differential compression check, tells much about the internal condition of the cylinders. It gives an indication of the seal provided by the valves and the condition of the piston rings. Question, after spark plugs from an opposed engine have been serviced, in what position should they be reinstalled? Answer, next in firing order to the one from which they were removed and swapped bottom to top. Note, when spark plugs have been cleaned, gapping, and tested, they should be installed in the cylinder next in firing order to the one from which they were removed, and they should be swapped from bottom to top. Question, as the pressure is applied during reciprocating engine compression checks using differential pressure tester, what would a movement of the prop in the direction of engine rotation indicate? Answer, the piston was positioned past top dead center. Question, excessive valve clearance results in valves opening. Answer, late and closing early. Question, during routine inspection of a reciprocating engine, a deposit of small, bright metallic particles which do not cling to the magnetic drain plug is discovered in the oil sump and on the surface of the oil filter. This condition, answer, may be a result of abnormal plane type bearing wear and is caused for further investigation. Question: a characteristic of dynafocal engine mounts as applied to aircraft reciprocating engines is that the answer: shock mounts point towards the engine center of gravity. Note: dynafocal mounts absorb the vibrations of the engine about the center of gravity of the engine props combination and isolates the vibration from the aircraft structure. The shock mounts all point towards the engine prop center CG. Question: if metallic particles are found in the oil filter during an inspection, answer: the cause should be identified and corrected before the aircraft is released for flight. Question: if the oil pressure gauge fluctuates over a wide range from 0 to normal operating pressures, the most likely cause is answer: low oil supply. Question: what special procedure must be followed when adjusting the valves of an engine equipped with floating cam rings? Answer: eliminate cam bearings clearance when making valve adjustments. Question: which of the following is most likely to occur if an overhead valve engine is operated with inadequate valve clearances? Answer: the valves will not seat positively during start and engine warm-up. Question: excessive valve clearances will cause the duration of valve opening to answer: decrease for both intake and exhaust valves. Question: what does valve overlap promote? Answer: better scavenging and cooling characteristics. Question: at what speed must a crankshaft turn off if each cylinder of a 4-stroke cylinder engine is to be fired 200 times a minute? Answer: 400 RPMs. Question: engine crankshaft runout is usually checked. Answer: during engine overhaul and after a prop strike or sudden engine stoppage. Question: before attempting to start a radial engine that has been shut down for more than 30 minutes, answer: turn the propeller by hand 3 or 4 revolutions in the normal direction of rotation to check for liquid lock. Question: an engine misses in both the right and left positions of the magneto switch. The quickest method for locating the trouble is to answer: check for 1 or more cold cylinders. Question: a hissing sound from the exhaust stacks when the propeller is being pulled through manually indicates. Answer: exhaust valve blowby. Question: if the oil pressure of a cold engine is higher than at normal operating temperature, the answer: engine's lubrication system is probably operating normally. Question: if an engine operates with a low oil pressure and a high oil temperature, the problem may be caused by answer: leaking oil dilution valve. Note: some aircraft engines are equipped with an oil dilution system in which gasoline is put into the lubrication oil before the engine is shut down. Oil dilution is used in cold weather to make a cold engine easier to start. Question: which fuel-air mixture will result in the highest engine temperature, all other factors remaining constant? Answer: a mixture leaner than the manual lean mixture of 0.060 or 60 thousandths. Question: if an engine cylinder is to be removed, at what position in the cylinder should the piston be? Answer: top dead center. Question: the horsepower developed in the cylinder of a reciprocating engine is known as the answer: indicated horsepower, IHP. Question: engine operating flexibility is the ability of the engine to Answer: run smoothly and give the desired performance at all speeds. Question: standard aircraft cylinder oversizes usually range from 0.010 or 10 thousandths inch to 0.030 30 thousandths inch. Oversize on an automobile engine cylinder may range up to 100 thousandths inch. This is because aircraft engine cylinders, and that's 0.100, and the answer is have relatively thin walls and may be nitrided. Question: if the ignition switch is moved from both to either left or right during an engine ground check, normal operation is usually indicated by a slight, answer, drop in torque meter pressure indication. Note: during a magneto check, the engine is operated at the speed specified by the engine manufacturer and the ignition system is switched from both to magnetos to each magneto separately. When the engine operates on a single magneto, the fuel-air mixture in the cylinder is ignited at one point only, causing a slight drop in engine power. The RPM will drop slightly. When the magneto check is performed, a drop in torque meter pressure indication is good supplement to the variation of RPM. Question: during ground check, an engine is found to be rough running. The magneto drop is normal and the manifold pressure is higher than normal for any given RPM. The trouble may be caused by, answer, a dead cylinder. Question: what is the best indication of a worn valve guides? Answer: high oil consumption. All right. Question: by use of a differential pressure compression tester, it is determined that the number 3 cylinder of a 9-cylinder radial engine will not hold pressure after the crankshaft has been rotated 260 degrees from top dead center, compression stroke number 1 cylinder. How can this indication usually be interpreted? Answer: a normal indication. Question: when does valve overlap occur in the operation of an aircraft reciprocating engine? Answer: at the end of the exhaust stroke and at the beginning of the intake stroke. Question: what is an advantage of using metallic sodium filled exhaust valves in aircraft reciprocating engines? Answer: reduced valve operating temperatures. Question: valve clearance changes on opposed type engines using hydraulic lifters are accomplished by, answer, push rod replacement. Question: what is likely to occur if a reciprocating engine is operated at high power settings before it is properly warmed up? Answer: oil starvation of bearings and other parts. Question: an increase in manifold pressure with constant RPM will cause the bearing load in an engine to, answer, increase. Question: direct mechanical push-pull carburetor heat control linkages should normally be adjusted so the top located on the diverter valve will be contacted. Answer: before the stop at the control lever is reached in both hot and cold positions. Question: reduced air density at high altitude has a decided effect on carburation, resulting in a reduction of engine power by, answer, excessively enriching the fuel-air mixture. Question: increased water vapor, which is higher relative humidity, in the incoming air to reciprocating engine will normally result in which of the following? Answer: decrease engine power at the constant RPM and manifold pressure. Question: true, false. Number 1. Is this true? Pre-ignition is caused by improper ignition timing. Number 2, is this true? Detonation occurs when an area of the combustion chamber becomes incandescent and ignites the fuel-air mixture in advance of normal timed ignition. Answer: neither of them are true. Number 1 is not true because pre-ignition is the ignition of the fuel-air mixture before normal ignition is timed to occur. It is caused by incandescent objects in the cylinder. Detonation produces enough heat in a cylinder that carbon particles can become incandescent and ignite the mixture early. Number 2 is not true. Detonation is the spontaneous combustion of the unburned charge ahead of the flame from after ignition has occurred. Okay, and it says at this point it explodes rather than burns. This is instantaneous release of energy, can overheat the cylinder, producing enough pressure to damage the piston and connecting rod. Question: which of the following engine servicing operations generally require engine pre-oiling prior to starting the engine? Answer: engine installation. All right, we're almost there. Question: during the inspection of an engine control system in which push-pull control rods are used, the threaded rod end should, answer, be checked for the amount of thread engagement by means of inspection holes. Question: which of the following conditions would most likely lead to detonation? Answer: use of fuel with too low an octane rating. Question: an unsupercharged aircraft reciprocating engine operated at full throttle from sea level to 10,000 feet, provided the RPM is unchanged, will, answer, lose power due to the reduced density of air drawn into the cylinders. Think altitude. Question: which of the following would most likely cause a reciprocating engine to backfire through the induction system at low RPM operations? Answer: lean mixture. Note, a lean fuel-air mixture burns slower than either a rich or a chemically correct mixture. Question: how may it be determined that a reciprocating engine with a dry sump is pre-oiled sufficiently? Answer: oil will flow from the engine return line or indicator port. Question: what is the basic operational sequence for reducing the power output of an engine equipped with a constant speed prop? Answer: reduce the manifold pressure, then the RPM. Note, if the wrong sequence is used, the high manifold pressure and the low RPM can produce cylinder pressures high enough to seriously damage the engine. Question: which statement pertaining to the fuel-air ratios is true? Answer: the mixture ratio which gives the best power is richer than the mixture ratio which gives the maximum economy. Note, the best power mixture is about a 12-to-1 mixture, 12 parts air, 1 part fuel, and the maximum economy mixture is about 16-to-1. Question: backfiring through the carburetor generally results from the use of, answer, an excessively lean mixture. Question: which of the following conditions will cause the engine to have an increased tendency to detonate? Answer: high manifold pressure, high intake air temperature, and engine overheating. Question: when will small induction system air leaks have the most noticeable effect on the engine operation? Answer: at low RPM. Note, at the low engine speed, the volume of air entered the cylinder is small. Because of this, the additional air coming through the leak makes the appreciable change in the fuel-air mixture ratio. At higher RPM, so much air is being taken into the cylinders that the amount of leaks into the system does not change the ratio enough to make a big difference. Question. To reduce the power output of an engine equipped with a constant speed prop and operating near maximum BMEP, Bravo Mike Echo Papa, the answer? Manifold pressure is reduced with the throttle control before the RPM is reduced with the propeller control. Question. One of the best indicators of reciprocating engine combustion chamber problems is? Answer. Spark plug condition. Question. What could cause excessive pressure buildup in the crankcase of a reciprocating engine? Answer. Plugged crankcase breather. Not going to touch that one. Excessive valve clearance in a piston engine. Answer. Decreases valve overlap. Question. To what altitude will a turbocharged engine maintain sea level pressure? Answer. Critical altitude. Note, the critical altitude of a turbocharged aircraft engine is the altitude above which the turbocharger can no longer produce sea level manifold pressure and the engine cannot maintain its rated horsepower. Question. If air is heard coming from the crankcase breather or oil filler during a differential compression check, what is this an indication of? Answer. Piston ring leakage. Question. One cause of after firing in an aircraft engine is? Answer. An excessively rich mixture. All right, folks, thanks so much for watching episode 1 of Powerplant. This is the 2020 study test guide. Next episode will be turbine engines. Thanks so much. Hit that like button and subscribe. I'll see you in the next episode.